Hello, my friend. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. Food preservation is in full swing around here. So I thought I would take you guys along and just show you all the many things that we've been doing. Our kitchen has been very busy. Of course, it's apple season, which is amazing. Nothing makes your house smell better than making applesauce and apple pies and all that good stuff. So we've been doing a lot. My husband loves to actually freeze dry a ton of them. Then he can take them up on his hunting trips or camping trips with the kids. And they just make really delicious snacks if you freeze dry them. I like to can applesauce. We use so much of that. And my preferred method is to actually make the applesauce in the Instant Pot. You just add your apples, some seasoning, a little bit of water or apple cider, and make the applesauce, and then you bottle them. Peach season has also come and gone, sadly. I wish we could just have one more month of fresh peaches. They are so delicious. In fact, watching this footage, my mouth just kind of salivates. Nothing is better than a fresh peach, but it is short-lived around here for us. But we make the most of it. We bottle a ton of just sliced peaches and use them in many ways throughout the year on crepes and oatmeal and all sorts of things. So we bottle probably close to 40 jars every year, and that will see us through until next peach season. They're also really, really good freeze-dried if you've ever tried them. It's just total candy, an absolute treat. But I would say we're using our canned peaches more often than anything, and it's just one of my favorite things to bottle. So we finally harvested the last of our garden. We've used so much of it fresh, and so we didn't have a ton to store away. Our peppers did not do super great this year, but what we like to do, since there wasn't a whole lot to do much with, we just like to slice them up and freeze them in little baggies. We'll do smaller chopped peppers to like throw into omelets and things. And then just the bigger ones I often throw into soups and stews. We did get quite a bit of like banana peppers this year, and we love fermented banana peppers. And so we are trying bottling them this year. And I think they will be quite delicious, like on top of tacos or whatever kind of dinner we have. We often buy just bottled banana peppers, so I'm really excited to try these. Even though we didn't get very much, it was worth bottling a few of them. So new for us this year is we did a lot of beets in the garden, and I have to be honest with you. I don't love beets. They taste like dirt to me, but I'm really trying. And so we found that pickled beets is our favorite method. So that's what we did this year. We also harvested the last of our honey for the year. Our bees have been hard at work. I mean, just look at that liquid gold. I'm telling you, that is like the most sacred thing for us. It is just pure delight and tastes so good. It is such a fun thing to do. It's looking like the first frost is going to come really soon. So I want to get out here and harvest as much of my herbs as I can, get them dried. What I really want to do today is actually make a ton of mint extract so that I can give them for gifts during the holiday season. So I've got my favorite clippers. I'll have to link you guys to these. They're so amazing. Tons of my baskets that I've been thrifting and antiquing. And I'm going to harvest as much of these herbs as possible before they all go dormant for the winter or die off. And I will actually make a blog post sharing with you my instructions for how I make mint extract. So it's really great during the holiday season for so many baked goods. I'm sure you've used it before in a lot of things. Mint brownies, nothing better than that. So I want to just make a ton of it for us and then to gift. Now, if you were with me last year when I shared this herb garden, my husband did make the cold frames for them. So we will try to extend the growing season as much as possible with the cold frames that we'll put on overnight and when it gets really cold very soon. But for now, I just really want to clip these while they're alive and growing and make the most of them. got 2 full baskets. I will definitely try some. I love herbal peppermint tea during the winter time. So I wanted to show you how much I cut it back. And then also, you see this plant? This is a menthol plant, and I grabbed it at a nursery during the summer. I was just curious. It smells so good. Like if you pick one of these leaves, it just smells so good, but I have no idea what to do with a menthol plant, and it did really well. So I need to do some research, but if you happen to know what to do with this beautiful plant, let me know. I hope I can keep it alive for next year. And then next to that, I also have some spearmint growing. So I'll get that harvested and probably just dried for some herbal tea, or maybe I'll make a smaller batch of spearmint extract. After bringing all these fresh herbs in, it's quite the task to destem them and get all of the leaves off, but it helps to have some kiddos help you. And I have to apologize now for my cringy voice, but I accidentally captured this really sweet moment of us doing this together. And rather than muting it, I'm going to teach you this song that I learned from Rosemary Gladster, one of my favorite herbalists. I saw her singing this on her Instagram feed and thought it was so sweet, so I taught my kids this little song. And when I rise, let me rise up like a bird without pride, joyfully, joyfully. And when I fall, let me fall like a leaf without shame, gracefully, gracefully. Good job, Shay! You caught on faster than I did. Now let me share with you how I made the mint extract. And again, this is on my blog if you want to see like the written down instructions or do a printable recipe, but it's really, really simple. Any kind of extract or tincture is made the same, and it's very simple. So you want to like rough chop your herb, and that just helps release some of the essential oils that are in those beautiful leaves. And so if you do this just quick rough chop, some people even put it in a blender or a food processor, but I find just a quick chop does the trick. And then you just put it in the jar, and then you'll put in your liquid however you're wanting to extract them. I like to use this vodka. It's the most easily accessible for me in my area. So you just pour that over it and make sure all those herbs are submerged. You want to make sure you're using a parchment paper or some kind of wax paper to protect the metal or plastic lid. Otherwise that alcohol will really eat at it, and you don't want that to happen. Then you just kind of give it a good shake, and then you want to make sure that you're labeling your extract so you know what it is, because after a few weeks this is gonna look all brown. So you want to make sure you're labeling them with a date of when to stop. Now I also made some cute labels if you're wanting to gift these. I plan on gifting these for the holidays, so I made these cute labels, and you can print them by signing up in the link below, and you can get access to my subscriber library where all my printables are there for you for free. Now I want to freeze some of this fresh mint because it's really, really good to pop into smoothies, especially like chocolate-based smoothies. It's quite delicious. So again, you just kind of roughly chop it to release some of the oils. Then if you have like a ice cube tray, that works. I just have these little silicone things. And you'll fill them a little bit with mint, and then top it with some water. And then you just freeze them and then pop them out, and then you can put them in a little baggie. And then they're really easy to throw into smoothies or whatever kind of creation you can make. So I I do have some peppermint and spearmint left over from my freezing them and making extract. So I just want to dehydrate them in our food dehydrator so that I can use them for herbal teas all throughout the winter. So that's what I'm going to do. I actually wish I had a little more, but I feel like extract is going to be kind of the thing this year. So I'll just put these on these trays and stick them in the dehydrator. For herbs, you want about 95 degrees Fahrenheit, or like up to 100, kind of depending on how humid your area is. So I like to put parchment paper down so that the herbs don't fall through those cracks. And then I just make sure they're not too crowded so that they have plenty of room to dry. So we have a Cabela's dehydrator. My husband got it free on Cabela's points. But anyway, you just put it in here. The herbs do sometimes blow around a little bit, but that's okay. We'll clean it up in the end. And you can fit a lot of trays right in here. So you just have to kind of watch it. Some herbs take anywhere from like 3 to 4 hours. I'm guessing this will take 1 or 2 hours. So that's why I have this in the house so that I can remember to check on it. And then just when they're nice and crispy and dry, I know that they're done and I can jar them up. I do want to just add, if it is warm enough, I like to actually dry my herbs in like this tiered hanging thing that I've shared with you guys a lot. I will link it in the description. So if it's warm enough outside and I can find a spot that has good airflow but not direct sunshine, I'll just dry my herbs out there. But since it is cold, that's when I use the food dehydrator and it comes in really handy. So that is my mint harvest, and we'll move on to the next thing. I also brought in some of my basil and lemon balm, and I'm gonna make tinctures out of them. It's the exact same process as making an extract. This time I'm using Everclear. I've used this is a much more potent alcohol, but a lot of herbalists use it for fresh herbs since the fresh herbs already have water content. So I have used it a couple times. It's just so potent. So I wouldn't use it for an extract, but I do like to use it if I'm making a tincture, just because for a lot of the herbs, it does a better job at extracting the medicinal properties. So I'm going to give that a try with this basil and lemon balm. And these, I mean, you could use them in your cooking. Like if you were making a marinara sauce, you could use your basil extract or throw it in a pesto. But I'm making these more for the medicinal purposes of basil and lemon balm, which there are a lot. So I'm excited to have these tinctures in my home for any time that we might need them. Now, this was the most enjoyable fall activity I think we've done this year. We decided to wild harvest elderberries in our area. We haven't done this before, but it was so much fun to go on the hunt in our area and to find trees and bushes that were just full of these beautiful elderberries. We have the blue variety. There are like the dark red varieties, but the ones in our area are these beautiful dusty purple color. And it was just such a beautiful night. We had so much fun. Some of us did the elderberries and some of us just like to goof around. I tell you, you give a boy a stick and he's entertained for hours. We discovered a lot of the elderberries were up really high, so Mr. Tidbits got his very tall ladder and we went for those top elderberries, but we ended up with a pretty good harvest and decided to make some elderberry juice out of them. So this was a first for me. I've always made elderberry syrup, using dried elderberries, but this was really fun to use the fresh. And you can just clip them, the little clusters off these branches. And again, I have a blog post on this, full tutorial, lots of information about elderberries. But it was so much easier than I thought. Once you got them clipped off, washed really good, we used our steam juicer. And it was amazing how fast these little berries put off their juice. It was really, really fast, especially when comparing it to when we've done this with grape juice. But oh, it just smelled so good. And it was like, it just felt good to be making this elderberry juice out of something nature has provided for us, and knowing that it would be such a support for our immune systems later on. Now, we did actually can them with a water bath. So you can do that, and then you just have some really convenient elderberry juice to pull out when you're not feeling great, or if you just want to give your immune system a boost during the cold and flu season. I have been shocked, actually. We've had to take a dose a few times when I thought my kids or my husband or I were coming down with something, and it just seems to kick it so fast. I don't know that this is a more concentrated form or that it's from fresh berries, but I just really feel like it works so good. And now I want to plant like 50 elderberry bushes on our property so that we always have access to this, because it just seems to kick everything super fast and just really helps support your immune system. The other thing I've been making is fire cider. It is another kind of flu and cold time tonic that I just don't go without. It is so powerful. And again, I just feel like it really helps you either prevent an illness from coming or can help you get over it really fast. So fire cider is really an old-time herbalist trick, but it's just made out of these very potent foods, and you're actually going to ferment them. So again, I have a blog post all about it, so you don't need to write all this down, but you start with your base ingredients, and that is onions, garlic, horseradish, and peppers. And if those are the only ingredients that you have, you can actually make a really potent, effective fire cider out of those. However, you can get really creative and add in lots of ingredients. So when you're chopping up the garlic, you definitely want to clean off the peels, but it helps to smash them a little bit, and that just helps kind of release the goodness that's in them. I swear, garlic, even if all you have is garlic in the home and you feel like you're coming down with something, and if you can stomach like eating garlic or chopping it up and just swallowing it, I've seen incredible results from that as well. So garlic, I think, is one of those really powerful things to have at home. So it's great to put it in this fire cider. Of course, gives it some very potent, yummy flavor. Not everyone loves it. So I do have ideas on my blog post about how you can get fire cider down for your kids or to make it more palatable. But then you just peel and chop your horseradish, layer that in the jar, and then a pepper. And a lot of the fire that comes from this fire cider is with the peppers, and it's actually really great to help like clean out congestion. So you don't actually take the seeds out of the peppers, you just put them right in there. I only did one jalapeno pepper. I'm a little scared of too much fire, but you can do 2 or 3. A lot of people use habanero peppers, but anyway, they're really great to put in here. And then you can get creative with your herbs. So I was lucky enough to have all these amazing fresh herbs in our garden still growing. So I used a couple of sprigs of rosemary, a handful of sage, a few sprigs of thyme, and then lemon balm was the last one I put in there. And all these herbs have really supportive things in them. If you want to read more, definitely check out my blog post at tidbitsandcompany.com. I kind of go over all the details about this amazing concoction that I'm making here today. You also want to add a lot of spices into your fire cider. I don't know if turmeric root and ginger root is considered a spice. It might be considered a root vegetable. I don't know, but it's really incredible to put in with your fire cider. Be careful with that turmeric. It can stain your hands orange and your cutting surface orange. So just be careful that you're not using anything too precious. But for the ginger, I've seen some people leave the the skin on. I like to chop it up. But in my recipe, you can follow like exact quantities of how much you want to put in a fire cider, or just play it by ear. This is called the folk method, when you just kind of throw in as much as you want and things that you want, but it's kind of fun. I also put in some peppercorns in here. Peppercorns actually help the constituents in especially turmeric and ginger to be absorbed better in your body. And of course, peppercorns have a lot of benefits by themselves as well. So I threw in about a teaspoon of those. And then you can add citrus or other fruits that have a lot of antioxidants in them. So this time I added some lemons and oranges, and you actually leave the peel right on. And because that's where a lot of like the vitamin C is. And with all these other herbs, you're not going to taste the bitterness from the orange. It's just going to give it a nice citrus and sweeter taste. And it's just so delicious. And you can just chug a little bit down when you're feeling a little under the weather, or you just want to keep your immune system going. Or mix it into other things like drinks. But to ferment it, you're actually going to use raw apple cider vinegar. And I like to get this in big jars or buckets from Azure Standard. And then you just make sure everything's submerged. You can put a fermentation weight in there so that everything stays under there. But this will go into your cupboard for at least 3 to 6 weeks to ferment and infuse. After that, you can choose to strain it, keep it in the fridge, or just keep it in the pantry for when you need it and just let all this stuff infuse. But you can find all those instructions and guidelines over on my blog. Another thing that I'm making to support us this cold and flu season is one of my favorites. It's almost a treat. It's so good. But I am simply making infused garlic honey, or fermented honey garlic. It's a little messy. I'm kind of a messy cook sometimes, and a big old jug of honey can get sticky, if you will, but it's so easy. You just peel some garlic and then put it in a jar and then just cover them in honey and submerge them in honey. And I like to add a couple of splashes of apple cider vinegar. This just amps up the acidity levels so that I can just be sure that I'm not going to have any botulism or bacterial growth growing in here. You don't have to do that. I know a lot of people don't do that, but I prefer to be safer than sorry. So you can find all these instructions and tips and precautions over on my blog as well. But let me tell you, when you infuse this garlic in the honey, it tastes so good. The honey takes on this delicious flavor that you can use for many things, but you can also eat the garlic straight. Again, like I said, garlic is so powerful to support your body, but it can be hard to just chug one down. So when you put in this honey, the honey actually takes on more of the garlic flavor, and the garlic becomes more mild so that you can just eat a clove of garlic easier, or give it to your kids that way. But you'll see here these jars, the darker ones have been infusing for over a month, and then this is the new batch that I made up. But I've been going through this so fast that I'm just going to keep this on repeat and make sure we have infused honey garlic at all times. I am prepping some freezer meals along with making dinner tonight. This is my two sisters' cookbook that they just released. It's all about pressure cooker freezer meals, and they just teach you with every recipe how you can do this. You can prep your dinner, or you can prep some to stick in the freezer and use for later on, which is so awesome. When you're making dinner, just double it, and then you have a freezer meal really quick and easy. So tonight I'm making the cauliflower soup, one of my absolute favorites. It's kind of like a Zupa's Wisconsin cauliflower knockoff, if you've had that, but a much healthier version. I actually have a recipe on my blog for like the stovetop version of this, and then my sister made an Instant Pot version. So I am making that. I will link you guys to where you can get this cookbook. It's amazing. It's their fall edition with a bunch of really easy fall freezer meals. And then I am just assembling two here on these little containers that they sell that you can stack really nice in the freezer. And then making one for our dinner tonight in the Instant Pot. So amazing. I've got 2 meals to go in the freezer. And then one to cook, I just add my homemade chicken broth to it. Then put it in the Instant Pot, blend it up. We're good for tonight. And then on busy nights, I have some really easy, fast dinner ideas. Love it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing what we're doing this beautiful time of year to prep our home for the winter and the cold and flu season, and to use the abundance that we have gotten in our garden. It just feels like such a beautiful time of year, and I have loved every second of it. So thank you for joining me, and I hope to have you subscribe so that you can join me again, and I will be back very soon to share more inspiration for the keeper of the home.